Well, we finally hit 550 subs. This was supposed to be my 500 sub project, but it got delayed. I've had it sitting here for a while, so I'm kind of excited to get it going. But what I have here is the Arcdroid CNC, the titanium 65 plasma cutter. You can see behind me there, I got the baby one to that. It's worked really well, so hopefully this one works just as well. Along with the Arcdroid, I got the X2 table here that makes it so you can cut longer parts and stuff. So first thing I got to do is get this thing mounted on the plasma cart here, and then get the Arcdroid out of the box and get that mounted on. First thing I got to do is mount these angle brackets. There's two of them, one for each end of the table. And what I want to do is drill this out, and then I'll take these two bolts out, and then I can mount it on there. I just got to figure out my height and measure down, so I'll get that done. We got the brackets on the edge of the table here. Now we just got to mount the X2 on there, and we'll just center it up so the edges are with the edges of the table here. And then, yeah, shouldn't be a big deal. The worst part of this is there's a whole bunch of little nuts and bolts that I got to put in there. So should be fun. Okay, so I got these nuts all put in here. See, you can get them in there. Got all of them in, and I'm gonna try to set this on there, and hopefully they'll screw in without too much hassle. Well, that didn't go as bad as I thought it would. It actually went in pretty easy. I just had to get some different sized Allen wrenches to get them tightened up. So on to the next part, which I think is mounting the Arcdroid onto this plate that sits in this little slider here. This is your position sensor. There's just plastic ribs here that go in these grooves. There he is. I got the Arcdroid out of the box. I just set it on here on that plate, and the X2 comes with some wing nuts and washers that go on the plate to hold it to that. So we'll slap them on quick and move on to the next step. All right, the next part of the process is to hook your cord up, plug it into a power source, and then the data cable that goes from the unit to the display. This gets plugged in the side here, and then into here. Now I'm not hooking the X2 up to this yet because I want to calibrate it, and I got to download some software. So I'm going to get that software downloaded, and then we'll be back. All right, it's the next day, and I got a little time to work on this. So I got the software updated in both the main unit and the display, and then calibrated it with the calibration triangle. Best when you put it on here, try to clamp it down in a way that when you're doing it, your clamp isn't going to be in the way. And then I did the Z-axis. That took me a little while, but eventually got it. Directions aren't real clear on that, but if you're just going off the book, but I did get it. And now I got me a box of goodies along with this. You can't see that underneath there, but I got the plasma sitting there. I think I'm going to make a little shelf for it eventually. But I got a box of goodies. This is the corner wizard and center wizard for trying to find those two items when you're drawing stuff. So you can slide this on your material here, and this will give you the exact corner. Same if you have a 90 for if you're using a cardboard template. And then this is for finding the center of your holes. Foot pedal, the connection cable that goes from the back of the unit to the plasma. And then I didn't really need this, but I got another torch mount and another stylus just in case. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this hooked up and the X2 table. I got a piece here that has to go on the back of the machine that the X2 hooks up to. So we'll get that done, and yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. All right, it's been a couple days since I messed with this, but I've been playing with the simple trace. I got a few parts I need to make, and I've got the plasma cutter set up. The Arcdroid is ready, but I still need to figure out like my kerf for, you know, doing holes or your outside dimensions. So I'm going to do a little testing on this piece of steel here. But I came across this on a forum somewhere, and it's a bunch of settings just to kind of get you started. And if you look, this first column is the thickness. They got, you know, thinner up to 5/8, and then the amps, inches per minute, PSI, and then torch height and pierce height, which once you set those are all the same according to this chart. So will they all be exactly right? Probably not, but it's someplace to start. So I'm doing a piece of diamond plate scrap. I just have it flipped over to try to cut a hole or two. And so it's pretty close to the 10 gauge. So I'll set the plasma at 30 amps, 35 inches per minute, 90 psi, and we'll see what happens. And all right, in the simple trace, I did a 1-inch circle, and if you look up here, the lightning bolt is off. So when I hit run, it should just trace it on here, make sure that everything's right. So we'll do that. All right. So it did what it's supposed to there, and everything looked good. I got water in my water table here. So this will be the very first initiation of everything. So we go up here and we hit that, so that's good. And I'll hit run. See what happens. Well, for the most part she cut through, but not quite. Check the size on this. I find my calipers. About 1 inch 35. So I'll make a couple adjustments here, and we'll try her again. Try to get the light out of here. We'll tune and let's see. I think we need to slow the feed down just a touch. Try 32. Let's see that. And kerf 0.03. So change the feed, slow the feed rate down a little bit, change my kerf. All right. All right. So we're back into the crossed off bolt, lightning bolt power. I'll hit run, make sure that I'm in the right spot for my material. That looks like it'll work. And hit the Activation. Try it again. It looks a little bit cleaner. Still not all the way through. Grab my calipers. So about 14th thou over on that. Say 10. Well, I could measure the width of the actual cut here. Yeah, about 46 thou. So yeah, that makes sense. So we'll go back into tune and 0.46, and then I think I'm gonna turn my power up on the plasma a little bit. Maybe we'll give it a hair more time on the pierce delay. So we'll 1.5, see if that does a little bit better. Okay, now back to putting this in the right spot. Lightning bolt, so it automatically turns the head off, which is nice. So we'll do a test. And then activate. Felt rosy. Hey, hey. Uh-oh. What did I do? I think I know what I did. I went 0.460 instead of 0.046. Let's see, we're at this is the fun of doing this, is you make mistakes and you learn. All right, we'll change that to 0.046. Enter that. Well, I cut through way nicer. It's got a little bit of a slag on the back, but not too bad. That actually was a pretty clean cut. So I think we'll put that over there again. All right, 0.46. There we go. All right, do our test run. That all looks good. So activate and run. Hey, that looks pretty good. And grab the calipers. And we're a little undersized. Well, maybe not. A little taper to the cut. The top of the hole is right at 1 inch. So now I got to figure out how to get her to cut straight up and down. I went back in and I recalibrated my Z-axis, and I don't know, there's something still not quite right, but I think I got it so it's dialed in. And what was going on was the torch was too far away, and I did a bunch of testing, some round holes and some squares, and I got most of the taper out of it. You're always going to have a little bit just because of the way the arc is on a plasma cutter, but I think I'm good enough now to be able to do this part that I'm doing for my brother. All right, guys, so part of the process is you make mistakes, and I tried making this part by using the bolt circle and just doing 4 holes, not realizing that it wouldn't be right. I need 2.1 inches between the centers of my holes, and I got 1.5 inches. You can see that there. And so we're gonna have to start over, which is the process of learning, right? So I got my other piece of metal here that I'm gonna do it on. It's diamond plate, but I'll just grind that off. Not a big deal. I sat back down, I redid it, and we'll go through that process right now. I'm gonna sit down for this process. Oh, let's see here. We're gonna go start over. Clear all shapes. So with the simple trace, we can go in here. Now, I guess before we get too far into this, I did home the machine out and set my origin. So we go into square, whatever, rectangle, select that, hit our button, comes up with your numbers, and we're gonna go 2.5 on width and 2.5 on the height. Now we have a 2.5 inch square and we need to add some holes. We'll here to the circle and hit our select button, and then we go edit our X and Y. So I need 2.1 on our X axis. We're going to go 0.2, and on our Y we're going to go 0.2. Now some of these start out with a negative. Get rid of that. And you can see on the screen here, it moves our first hole up to the correct location. And if you need to change the diameter, you click on that. But I want pretty small holes. All right, so we hit the green check mark, come back into here, and we select another hole. And we go 2.3 and 0.2 diameter. Oh, I got to change that to positive 0.2. So we hit green check. That all looks right. And we select another hole, and we just go around like that. So see, we did 2.3, and last one was that. Puts the hole up there. Select another hole, and 0.2, and 2.3. Okay, now we got our 4 holes. On our screen here. So we'll go back out of this. I'll exit. Oh, my big dumb fingers hit the wrong button. Okay, so we come back to the main screen, and we're going to want to go back into Trace. And I think the first thing we're going to do is save, rename, and hit the back button. Come on. Okay. I'm going to name this Bird Feeder. Okay, there. Go into Trace. Now I got the 1, 2 for reordering. Cuts will be ordered inside to outside order. So that's our part. Should be good to go now. All right, I got my part origin moved over here. We just hit 0. So this is our bottom left corner of our part. The power is off, so we can do a dry run. All right, we got our dry run done. Okay, now we're ready to do the actual cutting. Get out here, go on. We'll hit run. Away we go. Get out here, Rosie. All right, there we go. Now we should have a part that's the right size. Holes are 2.1 apart, which is what I needed. Very good. There we go. The actual second part. Looks a little better than the first one. That's what I needed. Part of the learning process. All right, this is the finished product here. The little bracket for my brother's bird feeder. Got our 4 holes and a tube welded on so he can mount his bird feeder on a pole. And then the next project I got is we got some thicker material here. Make some brackets for one of my coworkers for his grill guard. So this is going to conclude this video, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one.